Hello, good evening, and thank you for joining us today on our presentation of Martin Luther King. We are very excited to be able to present this topic and provide information on Martin Luther King to celebrate his anniversary. We will be focusing on a variety of topics and themes from Martin Luther King's civil rights movement, his speeches, his political protests and actions, and much, much more. I would like to now introduce you to our participants today to help spread some knowledge and give insight. So firstly, I will introduce Miss Miriam, our third grade kindergarten teacher. Welcome, Miss Miriam.
Thank you. Hello.
Then we have Miss Suzanne, our fourth primary teacher. Welcome again, Miss Suzanne.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. And next we have our junior high teacher, Mr. Esteban. Welcome, Mr. Esteban. Always nice to have you here.
Thank you, Mr. Frost. It is a pleasure to be here.
Thank you very much. And finally, myself, Mr. Frost, kindergarten coordination and junior high teacher. I'm also delighted to introduce some MLK students today. First, we have Renata Berumen and Guillermo Olmedo from fourth grade. Welcome, guys. Thank you for participating today. And then we have Montserrat Delgado from second grade of secondary. Welcome, Montse. And we are delighted to welcome our kindergarten student, Salvador, who I know is very, very excited to help. Thank you so much, Salvador. Okay, so now we have an idea of who is with us today. Let's get started with Miss Miriam. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, good evening. Today, we'll show you why the philosophy of this school has been inspired by a man who worked really hard to reach his dream, Martin Luther King. Well, my student Salvador was going to talk about Martin Luther King. I think he had some problems, so we continue with the next student.
Salvador was going to ask us if we wanted to learn a little bit more about Martin Luther King. And definitely, we would love to learn more about Martin Luther King Jr. Did you know that Martin's name was Michael until the age of 6? As a child, he really liked to play baseball and football, his favorite baseball team being the Brooklyn Dodgers. Anybody know why? Because of Jackie Robinson, the first African-American to play Major League Baseball. Ms. Miriam, I believe Salvador is with us right now. Would you like to introduce him again and then I'll continue?
Of course, thank you, Ms. Susan. And here I have my student Salvador Munguia from the third grade of kindergarten. He's going to give us a brief description about Martin Luther King. Are you ready, Salvador?
Yes. Once upon a time, there was a man who had a dream. His name was Martin Luther King. That's the name of my school. He had a dream of peace and harmony. He fought for the civil rights. He didn't use the violence. No, he used his words. Do you know about Martin Luther King?
Yes, Salvador, thank you. We would love to learn more about Martin Luther King. As I was telling you, his name wasn't Martin when he was born, it was Michael. And do you remember what his favorite sports were? Baseball and football. Baseball, his favorite team, the Brooklyn Dodgers, because Jackie Robinson was the first African-American to play in the major leagues. Martin also really enjoyed music, and as he got older, public speaking. He was really intelligent and gifted, doing very well in school. He even skipped 2 grades in high school. Martin learned some of the most important lessons of his life outside of school. Renata, could you tell us one of the lessons he learned, please?
Yes. From about the age of 3, Martin had a white playmate who didn't live in his community, but who was usually around every day. His father owned a store across the street from Martin's house. They always felt free to play their childhood games together. At the age of 6, they both entered school, separate schools, of course, and their friendship started to break. Martin's friends started to become more distant. until one day he told Martin that his father had demanded that he didn't play with Martin anymore. It was a great shock to Martin, and the first time he was made aware of the existence of a race problem.
Thank you, Renata. Memo, what problem is Renata referring to?
What Martin realized as a young child was segregation. Segregation is the separation of people from one another, many times based on race, religion, gender, or beliefs. Many southern states in the United States had Jim Crow laws that enforced segregation between white and black people in public places, such as schools, transportation, restrooms, movie theaters, parks, and restaurants. These laws also made it difficult for black people to vote. For example, African Americans had to stand or sit in the back of buses. They attended a separate school, and they had to use a separate drinking fountain.
Thank you very much, Memo. I would now like to talk to you about Martin Luther King and some of the actions and protests he took part in to spread his messages and knowledge to the rest of the world. As we know, in an ideal world, we would love to have the ability and option to express our opinions and ideas in the knowledge that we have the right to free speech and not feel victimized for voicing our opinions. Unfortunately, during Martin Luther King's time, society was very much segregated, and certain races and religions were often alienated from mainstream society. However, Martin Luther King was the voice of the minority. He often spoke for the people who could not be heard, could not share their beliefs, thoughts, and opinions. He was a leader in his domain, gathering the masses and questioning the status quo. He led from the front and always had a passion and conviction in what he was saying. Martin Luther King used many tactics to stand up for what he believed in, but always promoted non-violent protests. Protests that could be heard, but also protests which remain goal-driven and focused. Martin Luther very much looked at the work of leaders such as Gandhi and followed his methods and tactics for peaceful protest. In a quote stated by Martin Luther King himself, he says, "In our protest, there will be no cross burnings. No white person will be taken from his house by a hooded Negro mob and brutally murdered. There will be no threats or bullying." To me, this really exemplifies his mission of peace for everyone and equality. One of Martin Luther King's most famous protests was the March on Washington, which was organized to try and force the government into improving civil rights. The purpose of the march was to gain publicity for the new Civil Rights Bill. On August 28, 1963, 250,000 people gathered at the Lincoln Memorial, and Martin Luther King made his famous "I Have a Dream" speech to a worldwide audience. Another well-known protest Martin Luther King carried out was the bus boycott in Montgomery, which lasted 382 days. Rosa Parks, a black African-American woman, refused to give her seat up to a white man and was subsequently fined and arrested. There are lots of examples of protests carried out by Martin Luther and his followers. But overall, in conclusion, we can see that Martin Luther King had a great impact on society at the time. Not only was he able to make his voice and opinions heard, but he was able to do this in such a way that promoted peace and restraint. He managed to make the elite look classless and showed that perseverance and good intentions would always win. I think these values of Martin Luther King are used here at the school. We teach our students to always persevere, always be respectful, and always carry yourself with good intentions. This for me is a great lesson to learn, and we have Martin Luther King to thank for being such a great role model and inspiration. Okay, so now we have our junior high student, Monse, who has been inspired by Martin Luther King and would like to say a few words. Thank you very much, Monse.
Thank you, mister. My speech name is "Are we practicing civil rights in the world?" Civil rights. It's a word that we hear everywhere and in every part of the world. But have you stopped and thought that sometimes we are using this word as an excuse for we don't get in trouble or because of a game? Are we really using it with the significance that this word deserves? Well, my answer is no, because we're using it as a game and not taking it seriously, and taking it lighthearted. We do not take care and look after this word, and we do not carry it with importance in it. We do not implement these values into our society, and the only thing that we are doing is making fun of this word unconsciously. So remember, if you're using this word, remember that it is an extremely important word for our society. Another theme that sometimes is hard for people to talk about it is discrimination. This is a word that says a lot with only the slight mention of it. And why? Well, because it does mean a lot. This word means lots of things. For example, when somebody is making fun of someone or making them feel less of a person because they are different from them. It's a word that we use a lot when people are hurting, especially with bad actions and intentions. They're hurting them with words. Words that you know that can be harmful. But you continue to make this. Lots of people have been fighting for discrimination to end and treat it fairly in society. If you compare the previous years, things have obviously got better, but not to the point we all live in peace and harmony without being discriminated against because of your character, race, or religion. This is where the word equality comes into play. Society needs to have equality. I know it's not easy to change people's ideology from one day to another, but if you don't try, nothing will change. Society will continue to suffer, and it can end in a bad way. Obviously, if you're going to try and make a change like this, remember that you need to act in a non-violent way, so it's easy for people to start paying attention to your words and taking you seriously. And this will make you a person who is fire, but also in a respectful way. Quality is a word that our parents, teachers, grown up tell us all the time. But what difference does this make if they are only telling us this word and we're not putting them into practice? We need to stop being passive and start putting these behaviors and actions into society, using it in a way which benefits everyone, applying in the correct way. And in a few years, we're going to see the positive results and the world will be a better place. Let's have a bright future. Let's promote equality. Let's promote respect. And let us be the best version of ourselves. This is one of Martin Luther King's quotes. The function of education is to teach one to think intellectually and to think critically. Intelligence plus character, that is the goal of true education. Thank you.
That was very inspiring speech. Thank you, Monse. I would like to cite Martin Luther King Jr. I Have a Dream speech, delivered at Lincoln Memorial, Washington, D.C., the 28th of August, 1963. I am happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation. Let us know, wallow in the valley of despair. I say to you today, my friends, and so even thought we face the difficulties of today's and tomorrow. I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will able to sit down together at the same table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of justice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my four little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. This is our hope. This is the faith that we go back to the month with this faith. We will able to hew out the mountain of despair at a stone of a hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the genuine discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this faith, we'll be able to work together, pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom forever, knowing that we will be free one day. And I say to you, my friends, let freedom ring, from the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire. Let freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York. Let freedom ring from the mighty islands of Pennsylvania. And when this happens, when we allow freedom to ring, when we let it ring from every village and hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews, Protestant and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the world of all Negro spiritual. Free at last, free at last. Thank you, God Almighty. We are free at last. I have a dream. Thank you. Now I will let you with Miss Miriam.
Muchas gracias, Mr. Estebane. Extraordinario discurso que ha dado la vuelta al mundo. Ha tocado corazones y despertado la conciencia de miles de personas. No cabe duda que quien persevera es capaz de alcanzar sus sueños. Y hablando de sueños, nos gustaría finalizar esta sesión preguntando a nuestros alumnos cuál es su sueño. Renata, ¿te gustaría compartirnos tu sueño?
Claro, mi sueño es tener un mundo lleno de paz sin violencia.
Qué lindo, gracias, Renata. Memo, ¿nos puedes compartir tu sueño?
Sí, mi sueño es ser veterinario de aves.
Excelente, Memo, gracias. Monse, ¿qué hay de tu sueño? Cuéntanos.
Mi sueño sería ser una gran doctora y poder salvar varias vidas.
Excelente, chicos, luchen por ese sueño. Salvador, ¿cuál es tu sueño? ¿Nos puedes compartir?
Mi sueño es ser astronauta y también un gran actor y muchas cosas más.
Muy bien, Salvador, trabaja duro para alcanzarlo. Gracias por compartir.
Martin Luther King Jr. escribió 5 libros y daba hasta 450 discursos en un año. La frase I have a dream es la más reconocida de todas sus palabras que han dado esperanza alrededor del mundo. ¿Sabían que Martin Luther King Jr. tenía otras palabras preparadas para el discurso de ese día? Y decidió improvisar los últimos 7 minutos de su discurso, que después se llamó I have a dream. Esta frase ha sido una motivación para personas alrededor del mundo para seguir sus sueños y hacer de nuestro mundo un lugar aún mejor. Todos nosotros del Colegio Martin Luther King les invitamos a seguir cumpliendo sus sueños. Muchas gracias por acompañarnos esta tarde. Ha sido de veras un placer. Y tenemos varios comentarios. Monse, felicidades. Muchas gracias, Miriam. De Marcela, felicidades a los alumnos que participan en esta transmisión, en especial a Monse, felicidades. Muy bien, de Miss Gaby, hola Gaby. De Vero, muchas gracias Vero, saludos. Mr. Frost, Jerry's mom says hi.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well said, Mr. Estebane.
Thank you so much.
And congratulations to everybody. Felicidades a todos. Excelente trabajo. Renata, Memo, Monse y Salvador, Miss Vero les manda un abrazo. Gracias, Vero. Saludos. Renata, felicidades, dice tu mamá. Muchas gracias. Gracias por acompañarnos, de veras. Gracias, Cabina. Saludos. Pamela, también muchas gracias. Aranza, muchas gracias por acompañarnos. Miss Cari, hola, muchas gracias. Dice, felicidades, Salvador, tú Miss, pero Salvador ya se fue. Ceci, muchas gracias. Saludos a los niños. Saraí, muchas gracias. Salvador, Miss Cari te manda felicitar. Gracias, Carlos. Araceli, saludos. Mesisa, muchas gracias, saludos. Lupita, hola Lupita. Thank you, Pamela. Bea, muchas gracias, saludos. ¿Cómo estás, Betty? Era la Miss Betty, la enfermera. Diana, muchas gracias, saludos. Muy bien, Monse. Guillermina, muchas felicidades desde tu abuelita, Monse. Muchas gracias, señora. Muchos saludos. Sara, hello, Sara. She says, congratulations. Miss Janet says, felicidades, buen trabajo. Hola, Miss Janet. Pina, which is, if I remember, Mr. Frost, she says, hello, I believe that's Mateo and Pia's mom. Raquel, saludos, muchas gracias. She says hi to Miss Miriam. Miss Evelyn, everyone wave to Miss Evelyn. Hola, Miss Evelyn. Gracias. Muchas gracias, Susu. Memo, tu mamá nos manda saludos. Saluda a la mamá de Memo. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you very, very much for all of your lovely comments. I'd just like to say thank you to everyone that's been in this and been participating. A big, big special thanks to all of our students as well. You've done a really, really great job. So thank you, Salvador. Thank you, Monse, Guillermo, and Renata. You've been great. Thank you so much, everybody, and have a nice evening. Thank you.